Dwayne, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for joining me once again through this journey of the glass and glazing industry. And today, I got another, I think, interesting one and different one. I have two really good guys that worked either in the field or adjacent to the field or however you want to say it, but they get things done and they're great people. I start off with Pat O'Connor of the Glass and Metal Alliance. He is the 2019 Apprentice of the Year. I mean, the guy's put together. He's a fun guy and a big fan. And speaking of big fan, I'm a huge fan of my second guest, Clem, Window Outfitters. Smart, passionate, genuine guy. Really like him. So got some good stuff out of him as well. So Pat and Ty coming up. Obviously, this podcast is made possible by my friends at FHC. FHC-USA.com is the website. They've got the big California Glass Association meeting at their brand new campus on April 17th. So if you're attending that, you'll get to see it. If you're not in town, check them out for shower hardware, railings, store fixtures, supplies, tools, and the monthly spotlight this month is on sealants. Go to FHC-USA.com for more. Thank you to them. All right, let's get to the beginning of this month in the podcast. We'll start off with Pat, finish with Ty, and then on the back end, my monthly or every podcast TV recommendations. Here we go with Pat O'Connor. Okay. Kicking it off this month, I'm thrilled to be joined by Pat O'Connor of the Glass and Metal Alliance. You can see them online at glassandmetalalliance.com. They've got a big show coming up. Pat's a fascinating guy. I can't wait to get to chop it up with him here, and we'll talk about the show and a bunch of other stuff. Pat, thank you so much for doing the show, doing the pod.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Yes.
I'm thrilled. I've heard a ton about you. This is the first time we're actually getting to talk in person. We've emailed a few times, but this is it. We finally get to talk. This is cool.
Yeah, I love it. Right on camera too. That's the most fun part about it, right?
There you go. Two pretty faces. One definitely yours, definitely not mine. So, but as I do with every guest, I love the background aspect, and this is where I usually learn a ton. Talk to me about your background, where you were born, grew up, went to school, and then how you got to today. I'd love to know the story a little bit.
I'll try to give you the abridged version of that because it's quite a long and windy road.
Gotcha.
I wasn't born into the glazing industry, to say this to least. I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia. It's my my dad was a truck driver, my mom was a hairstylist. They still are, and went to high school, tried out college a couple of times, didn't take. I landed a job in the Philadelphia regional produce market. So I was in produce, fruits and vegetables for a long time. And
Gotcha.
In my late 20s, I had to make a career change. So a family friend said, "How about the construction industry?" And it was, and this is this is why I'm passionate. It was a backup plan that should have been my plan from the beginning.
Gotcha.
Because I had that aha moment when I was able to actually become an apprentice at DC 21 with Glazers Local 252. At 30 years old, I found the love of my life. I found glazing. I found the wow, right? That's the coolest thing about our industry is like, we are the wow. Like
Yep.
anything you see about like anything cool construction, it's usually got glass involved in it. So yeah, I landed at a 30-year-old first year apprentice and I just went there and understood that this was a great opportunity. This was a career, not a job. And that what really stuck with me was I want a career. And what I thought was initially, I mean, I'm at that age, I'm 40 years old. So like my age, the older millennials, it was you go to college, right? You go to high school, you go to college. And I felt like, real talk, I felt like I was a failure because I wasn't able to get my college degree. And then like this world opened. It was like, no, like you're a creator. You're just not that college, but like I'm a maker.
Yeah.
And I found that love. I found that love in the glazing industry. And it's been love at first sight. And I've been having a fantastic time with it.
Fantastic. That speaks to me because I love this industry. I love everything about it. And now it's funny, you're in it, you're never going to leave. So you're here for the rest. And I also love the fact that, you have that passion because I do get frustrated where kids, especially nowadays, are like, you got to go to college, got to go to college. But yet the trades are tremendous. The living you can make doing the trades is tremendous. And I think you're a great example of saying, hey, I tried, it didn't work, but look what I found that I love. It's a career. It's a great career.
And the coolest thing about too is especially in our market is, and we'll get into the Glass and Metal Alliance,
Yeah.
but like we've pulled our resources to where guys like me, where it's just like this may be first, second, or third opportunity at the career, whatever it is, but we offer like a our apprenticeship program gives you an associate's degree as well. So and in something that you do are passionate about. Like I can have my associates in glazing technologies and get like, and that opens up into a world of not getting a college degree because I have to, but getting a college degree in something I found out I loved about, not as an 18-year-old kid speculating on what I want to do for the next 40 years. This is something I've had boots on the ground for 5 years, and it's like, yeah, I want more. Give me more. So
Beautiful.
it's been
Beautiful.
really
Well,
cool. Yeah.
I love it. I got Pat O'Connor with me from the Glass and Metal Alliance. See them online at glassandmetalalliance.com. And so now let's talk about the Glass and Metal Alliance. What's your mission? What do you guys do? I mean, for those who aren't familiar with you, give me a little bit of background on the Glass and Metal Alliance.
Absolutely. So the Glass and Metal Alliance is the marketing arm of the labor management partnership in our market here, and that's our market is Eastern Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey, and in Delaware as well. Um, we were formerly the Architectural Glass Institute, and what we really pushed for in the last decade was educating uh, anyone in the design aspect of letting them know like that the quality of the work is dependent upon the quality of the worker actually installing it. Because I know, and I always listen to your podcast and all these brilliant people, right? Like, I mean, brilliant people that are that love this, and then you talk about that, and then it's almost they give their baby away to the world, and it's like, well, who's putting it in?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how beautiful a glass building looks at. Like, if it leaks, it leaks. You
Yeah.
know, so really educating the importance of understanding each particular system, understanding that the nuances involved in it. So the Architectural Glass Institute pushed that, and the way that we did that was by doing AIA boot camps.
Hmm.
We've done various classes along those lines. We had this really cool project that I was a part of back in 2017. It was called the Merge Project, and it was with six architects students and then six glazers, like
Right.
knuckleheads like me, that got in the same room together and designed something from the conception of the design all the way to its completion that we actually made it. And it was an arduous process, took like 3 4 months, but it was able to show these kids, these young adults, like how what's actually involved in that stroke of the pen. Like a straight line is not a straight line
Right.
out in the field, and having that understanding between them was really something cool. So I loved the mission of the Architectural Glass Institute. And when COVID hit, obviously face to face time kind of makes you reassess exactly what's going on, right? So we've rebranded to the Glass and Metal Alliance because that was only one arm of what we do. Right now,
Right.
it's to let everyone know is in this market and in the industry, investing in the workforce doesn't have to be a four-letter word. Making sure that your workforce has a livable wage can actually be very business friendly, and we see it is business friendly
Yeah.
in this market itself. And understanding that, like, we're not. I've I know the paycheck of when my daughter was born. I know who wrote my paycheck. I know what job I was on when I asked my wife to marry me. I know what job I was on when I closed settlement on my first house. Like,
Yeah.
and that all comes from I we fund people's lives, and that's important to understand too, because all this fascinating stuff that we focus on, like that you focus on and you highlight on in such a eloquent manner, it's just like, the boots on the ground. It's these are people,
Mhm.
and these people, we want to make sure that they're able to lift their grandchild when they retire and
Yeah.
not having back and shoulder issues and stuff like that. Because end of the day, construction is construction, and I'm blessed that I loved it. I love being exhausted from manual labor because I love to make things.
Yeah.
So we've refocused Glass and Metal Alliances uh, not target, but the messaging to exactly that. Like, don't sleep on the fact that like investing in the infrastructure of your workforce actually makes our entire industry a lot stronger
Yeah.
because it's you're not wholly dependent on it. It's not one single employer making sure that this person it makes it to the finish line. It's now you're part of a network that is a lot more secure, and the fun and you're able to get a lot more done. So, uh, and that's it's been a great transition, it was almost a progression from AGI to where we are with glass and metal lines.
Sure, makes sense, and you're doing good things there. And I'm a big rising tide lifts all boats guy. I just think the better we all are, I say it in all my speeches, the better everyone can get in our industry, the better our industry can be. And then that's what we want. That's what I want, and that's what everybody should want. So I like what you guys are doing there. That's good stuff. And another good thing that you're doing is the Glass Symposium coming up at the end of April, April 30th in Atlantic City. You got a great day planned. You got some speakers I'm very jealous of coming to town. So what talk about the Glass Symposium, and it's not just for people in the New Jersey, Philadelphia region. It's wide open to everybody. Give me a little rundown on what you guys have planned in Atlantic City on April 30th.
Okay, just a little run. If I wanted to go to a glass expo, I'd have to go to Maryland. I would have to go up to New York.
Right.
I would not go in our market, which the Philadelphia, South Jersey market is a significant market.
Hmm.
So it's like, well, what do we need here? It was the bottom line is like, what is needed? Do we need another expo, which are fantastic, but is that something that we need with hundreds of vendors, this and that? And it's
Right.
like, and then you look around and our labor management events, we're all having these great conversations on how to stay with the industry. We are the industry leaders, and we want to make sure that both our workforce and our companies are healthy, and the forecast in their future is extremely healthy. So that brought us to, all right, well, we want to do something in this market. What is needed? And in Atlantic City, I'm actually in our Atlantic City offices today. And we do have offices down here because we do have such a broad um, a blanket that our market is that covers. So we have different satellite offices. This one has been really cool, especially for Atlantic City as a whole, to let
Hmm.
people know that we are investing in this community. And we're also looking for the workforce in and around this community as well. And they don't have to drive 75 miles to get their education either.
Right.
So when it came to the symposium, it's like, all right, well, we don't need, you can go other places to get that. So what exactly do you want? Well, we wanted to bring those wonderful speakers, like they are all stars and they're all part of the Glass and Metal Alliance to a certain extent in
Yeah.
one way or another. So it's like, we don't want to have these conversations, not closed curtain or behind closed curtains, but these are the conversations we're having. So why not invite the entire industry into it and say, we understand that first off, everything's changing exponentially, as you know. Like let's take a snapshot of 20, even when you started this podcast, what was it, 4 years ago, right?
Yeah. 2021. Yeah. Yeah.
So what does it look like now? And what is it going to look like in 4 years from now?
Yep.
Like how are we having these conversations? Are we all going to be trying to cannibalize, and is this a time of just hold on to something, or is this a bountiful time to say like all of this technology doesn't have to be scary, it's happening regardless.
Right.
So let's make sure that the right people are handling it, and then also making sure that cost efficiency is giving your resources to the right people, and to not to to the strongholds. We don't want the weakest link in any part of the construction industry, and we
Correct.
want to make sure that we delegate our resources adequately. Because more I'm in my position, the more I see is we're all dealing with limited resources. So it's like, how can we best utilize them? So with the symposium is, with Ted Baumgartner, he's a sharp fella, and he comes from a family. He's in the glass industry. He grew up in the glass industry,
Yeah.
right? And so he's talking about like, well, what about where does AI fit into this? So it's like, where does AI fit into this office to make it more cost effective to get the job done? And then we're talking about Ellis Giles and just his, I mean, talk about a room full of people smarter than me with both Ted. and Ellis and Conley. It's just like I just want to soak it all in. But he's talking about that envelope and what that's going to look like in the next few years. And not this isn't conceptual stuff. This is things like the next, jobs 5 years down the road are going to be specced with this. So it's like, where are we with that? And Conley also is understanding that we can't box out robotics. We have to make sure that they serve us,
Embrace it.
and we have,
Yeah.
and yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's having these conversations in these particular spaces and understand like, so do we need another expo, so to speak, in the Eastern Corridor? We didn't think so. So we decided to have these speakers, and then we're also having AIA accredited classes that our mutual friend Jeff DeLava is going to be involved in as well, and just to make sure the architects have a space as well to be like, all of this technology is coming down the road, but we already have a few stock. We have a few things in place to make sure that people we have a couple of stopgaps in place with NACC and AGMT to make sure that you don't have to do your own research to who is installing it or what company is bidding on your jobs. So having those conversations and making sure that they're uplifted and those voices are uplifted, and let people know that all of this stuff isn't scary. It's readily available, and it's already a part of our industry. And so let's talk about it, because let's take a breath, because it's been a crazy 5 years, and the next 5 years will probably be crazier technology wise,
Yeah.
and just simply speaking, technology wise, nothing other than that. And let's make sure that we don't get swept away in it. So having the symposium, we figured that was something that was missing from not only the East Coast industry, but the industry as a whole, is to just be like, all of these are in place. You don't have to go anywhere. Like the infrastructure is here. Like we have 1,000 glazers that we can touch when it comes to any kind of education that the industry needs,
Right.
or what's coming down the pike. Like I talked about the AI and the smart buildings and the robotics, all of that. Like we're able to train 1,000 glazers in this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Like in 6 months, we're able to do it. So to have those conversations, making sure that the that people understand that we're fully prepared and the Glass and Metal Alliance is fully prepared, and we're looking to make sure everyone is having those healthy conversations regarding the glass industry, because things are going to get built, buildings are going to get built, and let's make sure that they're done in a responsible fashion. So
Beautiful.
I'm really excited for the day. Yeah.
I think it's going to be great. So you get some great speakers. You got the education. I know you have a smattering of tabletops too, so you
Oh
can
yeah.
get that full range. And I just like the plan. I think it's going to be a good jump off for you. And you're right. You kind of fill a neat little need there. It's Long Island has theirs, Maryland has theirs, and and they both do nice jobs. This one's going to be great for you
Absolutely.
guys. And again, like the other ones, if you're interested in those speakers, like listening to Ted is well worth it, and Jeff and Ellis and and Conley, of course, it's worth to come to, because you're not going to say, oh, you're from Chicago, you're not allowed in. Come on in.
Yes.
The door's wide open.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And we understood, especially this is being our first year. We're just growing what our conversations are, regardless.
Yeah.
Everyone's invited in, but there's, excuse me, there's going to be a fear of missing out. Like once everyone sees what it is, we're looking to grow it next year as well. Like
Oh yeah.
we're and we have so many great people already dedicated to come, and that wouldn't be here in those AGMA and the Glass and Metal Alliance conversations already. And so we're letting it grow like that and say, hey, how to take a look, right,
Yep.
and see what's around right now, and what do we need moving forward.
It's
That's some
good
really
jumping
cool
off. Yeah,
conversations.
it's good jumping
Exactly.
off. I love it. So I got Pat O'Connor with me, Glass and Metal Alliance. See what they're doing at glassandmetalalliance.com. You can find out about the Glass Symposium we were just talking about. It's April 30th in Atlantic City. And so I always break up the podcast about halfway through with a fun question. I made the assumption, I think correctly, that you're an Eagle fan, a Philadelphia Eagle fan, because you're a Philly guy. And so you're living large. You just won a Super Bowl. And so my fun question for you is, any other favorite teams of yours now that you're living in the light of the Super Bowl championship? What's the next for you for your favorite team? Which favorite team you want to see win it all?
Oh, I got a little bit of a story when it comes to that. I
Bring
am
it.
an Eagles fan.
Yep.
But I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan in Philadelphia.
Oh my
Exactly.
gosh.
So what they call that in this area is bad parenting. That's what they call it in here. Um, what happened was my uncle of mine I was very close to growing up. He passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a Cowboys fan.
Yep.
So as and I mean, they were America's team when I was coming through, so it was easy to be a Cowboys fan in 1992, right?
Yeah.
But I loved it, and that was my coming of age was the '93 Phillies. And that's my true love. Phillies have always been my true love.
Love it.
'93 Phillies, Macho Row, like the greatest group of losers you'll ever see. We talk about the '93 Phillies with reverence still in here, and they didn't even bring a World Series to us. Um,
Right.
but when it came to being a Cowboys fan, it's hard work to be a Cowboys fan in the Philly area, right?
Yes.
So I in '95. Cowboys Eagles, they were I mean it was vicious, especially down in the vet. Like, that it was vicious. My grandmother at the time, her a good friend of hers was actually the travel agent that sponsored the halftime show for the kickoff. In I'm sorry, in halftime, if you kick a 30-yard field goal, you win a 4 or
Sure.
5 day night
Yeah. Yeah.
and whatever,
A
whatever it was.
prize. Right. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So Cowboys Eagles sold out 65,000 plus fans, and they would do it. There were 7 people that were supposed to go. So it was from anyone from the 100 level to the 700 level. Now, 700 level in Philadelphia is notorious for being the cheapest seats. So fill in the
Rowdy.
blanks.
Let's say there's a
Exactly
blog.
it
I
was.
used to be a blog or a podcast, the 700 level. Yeah. So yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so living up to their name, the 700 level people either weren't there or were incapacitated, whatever it was, they didn't show up. So I was 10 years old at the time. My grandmother's friend says, "Hey, would you like to kick a field goal on Veterans Stadium?" Absolutely. I mean, to be young and naive once again, right? So I walk down and I go, and so there's 7 of us lined up, and I was all decked out in all my Cowboys gear.
Oh
You
my
know what I mean?
gosh.
I had it, and I've had the unique experience of someone who's not in sports to have 65,000 people boo me.
Oh,
A 10-year-old kid just boo me, and I kicked the field goal. The field goal was very short. And then I had the wonderful feeling of 65,000 people cheering at my loss. And it was one of those really cool experiences that I look back on. But it's always lost on a national level. Like the passion in Philadelphia sports is
yeah.
very good natured. It's something that we all want to be a part of something, right?
Yep.
Like you and I are part of the glass industry.
Yep.
Everyone wants to be a part of something.
Yep.
So when it comes to that, I stopped paying attention to sports in my 20s outside of watching Phillies. When I came to, it was like it's hard work to be a Cowboys fan, and it's not that deep. So I was like, I was so happy for the city. I was so happy
Hmm.
for my friends
Yep.
that like really my friends like kids that are in that age where it's just so beautiful. So it was a celebration for the city. It was so awesome. I love the storylines involved in it. There are a lot of great people that won that championship as well. And so, but going forward, the Phillies are always been like through it all. I love the Phils. I love that Bryce has embraced this
Oh yeah.
culture. And if you notice, once again on a national level, whatever that rap is when it comes to Philadelphia is, if you're sincere and the heart speaks to the heart, and we're a city full of heart, and this area is full of heart. So I'm talking to Philly, but this is South Jersey as well. Is people see through the BS, so to speak. So it's like if you heart speaks to the heart, and if you do your best and you leave it all out there, it's a beautiful thing.
I
And I
love it.
see that in Bryce, I see that in the Phillies, and the guys that we brought on, and the guys that are coming up internally. So I know I'm going to have a few heart attacks throughout this season, but I think that we will be seeing LA, and David will once again defeat Goliath. And not
Yeah.
and it's so absurd that you even think of the Phillies as the underdog with
Right. But in
200 million plus, but it's funny, it's amusing, but
yeah.
I would love to see the Phillies. I love the '08. That team is too, but I came of age, like I said, with the '93 Phillies and what they were. And they were just a bunch of ragtag bunch of people that just God, they had fun,
Yeah.
and we had fun with them. And
I,
so I see the Phillies. I see the Phillies making a fun run. and that's what it's all about is making that run. And I see them eking it out. I don't think Bryce can really leave a World Series championship on the table for much longer.
No,
He's too hungry. So
he's determined. He's determined.
yeah.
I got a couple quick things based on it. That's a fantastic story. One on the Phillies, I'll have to send you some antacid for that bullpen because that I know will turn your stomach all year. That bullpen, never fails to give a Philly fan a little bit of a heart attack.
Always does.
And the other story I have is it's funny. You talked about you had a favorite uncle that kind of got you into the Cowboys. Interestingly enough, I'm a lot older than you. When I was growing up in Pittsburgh, I grew up in Pittsburgh. The Steelers were Super Bowl champions. They had won the 4 Super Bowls in 6 years, the Super Steelers. At that time, I was a young kid. I was, 9, 10 years old. My favorite team were the Seattle Seahawks because I had a favorite uncle in Seattle, my uncle Lou, and he was a Seattle guy, and they were an expansion team, lovable losers, and I was probably the only person in Pittsburgh that was a Seattle Seahawk fan, especially during that time. So I know, and I eventually grew out of that, kind of the way you have. And now I've lived in Detroit so long, I'm a Lions fan. But I just I love the story because it speaks to me because I was the same way. But you getting booed and cheered by 65,000 people is something else. That is awesome. That is awesome. I did not expect that story. Very, very cool.
It speaks to us being lovable, like loving the glass as being almost contrarian in those things, right? Because it's
Yeah,
such a niche little industry. It's just like, yeah, we're okay being unique. I think that's what it draws people into,
good,
the
good.
glass industry. So
And it leads perfectly into my next question because I was going to ask you, what's the one thing that you love about our industry that you would love to replicate everywhere? That you see that not enough people are doing that should be replicated everywhere.
well, I can speak for like I came from the tools, right? Like I said, I
Hmm.
was an apprentice. I came up. I never felt like I was alone on a job site. I always felt protected. I love that. I love the unity involved in that, and I love the camaraderie of make people making sure that I was okay as I learned, and then me returning the favor. And I think that certain aspects of the industry lack that. But in my market of where I was, and that's why I'm so passionate about the Glass and Metal Alliance because I know how healthy companies can be with um, with partnerships when it comes to any kind of workforce.
Right.
And because I learned a lot from people that weren't afraid of me stealing their jobs. And I learned so much from the part-time instructors that were able to, and just so freely giving that information because they are passionate. They're passionate about it. It may not, the glass industry, a lot of people are, but a lot of them are passionate about their lifestyles. Like I said, like a middle class lifestyle afforded to them from a good job.
Yeah.
And that was like learning about these, like all of these families that are just being on the site and being on the bucket and listening to kids grow up is it was just something just so cool that I don't think every industry has, especially of that of being able to like I mean I knew kids before I met them 5 years before I met them because their moms or their dads were just and that's what we talk about, right? We talk about our kids,
Yeah.
so it was beautiful. So that camaraderie I would love to see on a broader scale, especially with the industry, especially in the glass industry where it can be dangerous, so
True.
with everything that we do. It's like we deal with dangerous things to make cool things. So always feeling that someone was making sure that I was okay was just so uh, relieving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the mentorship sort of thing is huge, and building that network and building that camaraderie, and yeah, it's a culture thing overall, and I
Yep.
think that's our world has that. But you're right, the more that we can, grow that, and I do think, going back to the symposium, you guys doing the symposium helps, build that too. getting more and more people under the tent, and more people caring. And I love that you went out every day and you knew somebody was looking out for you and had your back. That's another great thing. There's a lot of industries where it's backstabbing left and right. And so it's I think, and we probably have our fair share of evil people in this world. I try not to see them, but I do think for the most part our industry's spectacular with good people. At least that's what I see. I don't know. Maybe you see a little different. Maybe when you go to New York City, they're not as nice. I don't know.
I agree with you 100%, Max. And going to that point is uh, that camaraderie building and everything is like there are good people, even those people that some people just don't know uh how to train, how to do anything. Like so it doesn't even have to be malicious for it to happen. So to have like just training as something that's an undertone has other people like just being more embracing uh with sharing information, even if they can't do it. Because I agree with you, not everyone who holds that information is doing it maliciously.
Yeah,
They just don't know how to.
it's a good point. Yeah.
So
Get to spread it, spread it. I got Pat O'Connor with me, Glass and Metal Alliance, glassandmetalalliance.com, all one word there. Check them out. They've got the Glass Symposium, still plenty of time to sign up for that and get to Atlantic City on April 30th. I saw in my research you were named Apprentice of the Year in 2019. Obviously, a humongous honor, and I think probably better than being cheered and booed by 65,000 people, quite frankly. How did this come together? Were you surprised? Was it a goal? I mean, Apprentice of the Year, my friend. That is, I mean, that's some heavy stuff. Heavy stuff. Good stuff. Congrats.
thank you, thank you. I'm still riding that wave. All this. I'm resting on my laurels with that. I'm just kidding. But the the funny part is, I told you I was an older apprentice. I was 30 years old. I
Right.
already not burned bridges, but I've already learned a thing or two, and I learned what a good situation was.
Right.
And everything that I just told you and I was passionate about is I'm seeing these people being helpful to me on a personal level, and then I see in Glazers 252 the ability they're saying, hey, we need help with this when it comes to we have a robust VIP program which introduces the trades to high school kids
Hmm.
in underprivileged areas. So can you show these kids what it's like to be a glazer and take some of your time? Absolutely, I would love to. If
Yeah.
you haven't noticed, I love talking about glazing.
Yeah.
And with the AGI boot camps, the Architectural Glass Institute boot camps, they said, can you come in and talk to architects about, glazing? Once again, you got to shut me up to, once you get me started. At that awesome merge project, all that was during my apprenticeship, and it was more of knowing that this is a unique situation. Like
Yeah.
it was like the Glass and Metal Alliance and our partnerships, labor management, and the labor end specifically, it's just like this isn't everywhere. And this is something that needs to be nurtured. So I don't have to do everything, but how can I help? And I think surround myself with people, especially as my career went forth. It's not like how can I get to this or how can I like I didn't uh, answer your question. I didn't expect the apprenticeship to be weird. It's like I'm making a good living, and so it's like how can I help make sure that other people can have a good living because it's available for everyone. And so I was very honored. I thought it was cool. And the cool thing, I think the best thing about that was like we had dozens of graduates that year, and they're all good people, and they're all really good. And some of them were better than me, but they didn't have the capacity because some of them had kids. I didn't have a child at the time, so they couldn't dedicate as much time as I could to any things like that. Like, and but they were at the same time, they were fantastic. They're still fantastic Glazers.
Yeah.
They're still, great members of the team, like all of those things. It was just me having the ability. So, to think Jefferson said it, luck is just opportunity and preparation meeting. So it was like one of those things where it was like I had the time and I had the gift of gab, so to
Yeah.
speak, when it comes to like wanting to really talk about glazing and try to uplift glazing. So
Yeah, and if you needed a sign that said, "Hey, I made the right choice in life," I would assume winning that sort of recognition, kind of solidified that.
it was really cool because and that's what I like about the Glass Metal Alliance is we're so busy that we never take time to let other people know like the great things we're doing. And
Yep.
so like that night was like, not that I was doing anything great, but I was like, oh wow, like I am helping. That's cool. Like,
Yep.
you know what I mean? Right on. And then
It's
it's
awesome.
on to the next thing. So I didn't
Awesome.
even think about that in the last 5 years since you brought it up, because it was like, how can I help now? It's not, look at me. I look what I did 6, 7 years ago. It was like, how can I help today? Like what needs to be done today to help our industry and our workers really continue to have the lifestyle or the lives that they have.
You're a good man. You're a good man. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I got one more question for Pat O'Connor, Glass and Metal Alliance, glassandmetalalliance.com. So I'm very curious. It's usually my last question for most of my guests about what they're seeing in the market. You come from another sort of angle because you've got the boots on the ground. You know what's going on at the job site level. You probably see different forecasts, hear different forecasts. You get some different moods. What are you feeling out there? Because I mean, it is definitely an odd time right now. We've got the new administration, lots of confusion, tariffs, and nobody kind of knows which way is up, and we're waiting on rate cuts and so on. But what are you seeing? What's the mood? What's the feel for the future out in the field in the forecast in the glass and glazing industry in your world?
Worry, especially coming from the workforce, it's worry because the unknowns, like you said, whatever is coming down the pike, if we know what it is, we can always adjust. But with the unknowns, the dirt moving right now, the immediate forecast looks good and looks healthy, and it looks like we have a good amount of work that is going to be able to really continue to help the Philadelphia and the South Jersey area. Like it's all of these any expansion, especially in South Jersey, like the expansion and the infrastructure and the meds and eds coming down here. It's just like as they grow, like that's us. We get to build the building, so
Yeah,
we get to do that in a healthy fashion. The long term stuff, that's exactly why we're doing this symposium. Is like things are going to get built regardless. This too shall pass, right? Like so, it's making sure that we are prepared for it. So whatever comes down the pike. So if there is a law, which there's always going to be a law, and that's going to be okay, and we're all going to go through it, right?
yeah,
And we're going to get through the other side. But this particular law, the other side may look significantly different than it ever has. Like you and I are on Zoom, but 5 years ago, this would have
no,
been a strange happenstance.
yeah,
Now it is the norm. So if and when if there is a law or if it is exponentially growing, whatever that look, because that's the unknown. Like you said, there's just so many things in the air where people were waiting for the last 6 months of the previous administration to say, all right, well, maybe the rates will change then, so let's hold off. And then it
right,
was like, all right, well, where are we at now? All of
right,
those unknowns are always it's always a concern on the short term, but
sure,
in the long term, it is making sure that whatever all of the rest of your wonderful guests have, they're making these wonderful things, and then we have these developers and these owners and end users saying, "I want that," and then they're getting a relationship with the general contractors who say, "I can do that." And then once the boots on the ground, like those boots on the ground, we almost tend to, I don't want to say devalue, but uh, what happens with me, and I don't know if it's with you, as my life gets busier, I do some things for self care every day. I try to exercise, I try to do whatever that is. As my life gets busier, what gets cut out of the equation is the
right,
self care, right?
yeah.
It's that sort
It's usually
sort of
give up
thing.
for yourself, right, right,
And what I see sometimes in this industry, and as a whole, not even our industry, is you forget about the people that are making it happen or the things that are building the buildings and cutting down on making the lead times longer, which makes the deadline shorter. Like those things can unfortunately have in the past people haven't come home from work, and
yeah,
we want to make sure that like that's something on the forefront of the mind. It's just like, all right, these are all great things, and these are like all this technology, but let's make sure that the individuals, the human beings that are actually on these job sites are able to safely make it home every day.
yep,
And just keep it like I mean, that's the biggest voice in the room for me, and that's where I'm coming from. But that doesn't have to be oversized, or it doesn't have to be contrarian to business growth either. It just has to be like, let's make sure that all of these things happen. And it's like, all right, now let's go build the building. because we've been panicking about the
Right.
the 90% before. It's like, all right, go get it done. Well, that getting it done, we got to make sure that everyone's prepared. So that's why I'm so passionate about, our industry and the Glass and Metal Alliance's ability to make sure that those boots on the ground are well informed and are able to complete the task in a timely manner.
No doubt, you guys are doing great with that, and I'm grateful. And just a couple comments back on your answer. One is, maybe I've been living under a rock, but I love the term meds and eds. Oh my gosh, I'm stealing that from you. I know it's simple and easy, but dude, I'll give you credit. I'll say it's trademarked by you, but I like the meds and eds. You know,
Yeah, I definitely stole that, but yeah, absolutely. Keep
uh,
it keep it going. It's
we'll
a
keep.
silly thing, but go ahead, you go with it,
We'll
right?
keep it going. And then,
Yeah.
I always say that visibility is so crucial. And when we don't have visibility, it's like driving a car in the worst fog imaginable. You don't know where you're going. And so when we have all of these unknowns and you have no idea of what's going to happen next, it's hard. It's hard to, run your business. It's hard to live your life. It's hard to make plans. And so that's, we have to be resilient. We're an incredibly resilient industry, and we've battled through everything. And like you said, we always come out to the other side. It might be different, but we always get there. And so I thought you summed that up very well. And I just wanted to kind of add to it is that, the visibility is just crucial. And right now, it's a little murky in some areas, and we just have to fight through it to get to the other side.
Which we will, and we always do, and we just want to make sure that everyone either if it's design build or if it's in the offices, everyone understands that we're all just people and we're all just trying our best.
I
And
love it.
once they get through that, then it's like, okay, well, I want to do more because a happy workforce is a healthy workforce, which in turn is a productive workforce, and I'm a
Fantastic.
firm believer in that. So.
You've got it going on, my friend. Pat O'Connor, Glass and Metal Alliance. Check him out and his company and the organization out at glassandmetalalliance.com. They've got the Glass Symposium April 30th in Atlantic City. Make sure you can get there or check it out. And it's the first of what will be many. Thank you, my friend, for taking the time. I really appreciate you doing the podcast.
Max, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All my honor. We'll see you again. And hopefully I'll meet you in person one of these days instead of over
Absolutely.
Zoom. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey Glazers and Fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware, privately owned and American made. FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. Up now is Ty Clem, president of Window Outfitters. You can find them online at www.needglazers.com. Ty has done some amazing things in this industry, and I can't wait to talk to him. Ty, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you here, and I've seen you. We've talked over email. We've seen each other on LinkedIn, but I know very, very little about you, and so I always start with the background. So let's start with you. Where were you born, grew up, any schooling and so on, and to your path today at Window Outfitters?
From Arkansas originally, graduated from Greenwood High.
Okay.
Um, Not a whole lot of special stuff to stay there. I
Okay.
mean, you know,
Just a typical, now in Arkansas, were you a University of Arkansas fan, or, Razorback, or are you, somewhere else?
I am a Razorback fan for sure.
Okay.
I was only about 38 semesters away from being a doctor.
Only 38. I like it. That's better than me because I guarantee you I'm not even close. So, how did you find your way into the glass industry when all was said and done?
So, I gave up on the college football thing.
Gotcha.
Moved to Dallas and started doing some work down there in the glass industry. Um, you know, got thrown in with the hardcore old school guys at
Yep.
that time. The pretty much they're all those guys are either on their um, retired.
Hmm.
The last of the Mohicans is definitely definitely up on that sort of caliber of guys that we started working for. Didn't really care about your feelings, you know.
Yep. They expected you to work and learn fast too, I assume. You probably trial by fire is my guess.
Yeah, it was get in there, get to work, better have your tools on at 7. Better hustle, better not make the same mistake, a few more, So I'm glad I got to learn from that era of guys and carry that work ethic with me for sure. That made me a lot of what I am today '08 hit.
Right.
So um, was a union at that time.
Okay.
So, I know Texas kind of fell off the map with some work. So
Right.
we went chasing work in Oklahoma, and I got hooked up here, and I just never left. Oklahoma just stayed booming, and it seems like it's never slowed down.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. So you're in Oklahoma. You had the glazing background, and then somewhere along the way you started Window Outfitters. Talk about what you do there and what the process is with Window Outfitters.
Gotcha. Well, I'm a general superintendent at heart, so manpower has always been my game.
Gotcha.
Um, 50, 60 guys at some points working for me on multiple projects. Um, we used a lot of subs. Um, Went through every one of them, that whole spill. And you can, when you've been doing it a while, you can pick these guys out real quick.
Right.
So, so we're a staffing company,
Right.
specialized for glazing, and we do turnkey installation as well. So, that pretty much sums that up.
So that's where the needglazers.com comes from, is because, companies that are short on manpower, you have folks that you can, ship out to them. Is that correct?
That's correct. I can tell you 2 years of how not to do it,
Gotcha.
you know? Yeah, and,
You,
and
you,
we're in
you
our
are
third
you
year
learning? Are
now.
you learning from your mistakes? I assume you are. So that's probably what it is. You got to learn from those, right?
Absolutely. We started with 6 guys, and then in a matter of a year went to 150.
Oh my gosh. How did you
So
how did you juggle that? That is amazing.
it, I did a lot of stuff wrong,
Okay.
um, but we learned, and we've um, always, learned how to adapt it and change and put new team members in there to help
Gotcha.
straighten things out. And as we grew, growing pains, you have to learn on the fly. That's pretty much,
Where you're at. Yeah.
how we got to where we are. So we went from working in Oklahoma all the way, to California, all the way to Florida. So
So if there's a company that needs manpower, people power, that's what you specialize in, and it could be anywhere in the USA.
yeah, we say that, but it's not that easy. It's
Right.
really, we say nationwide, but just today, I've gotten phone calls to try to fill orders in Arizona or California, and it's not easy, trying to get the skilled, experienced guys on the
Sure.
fly like that. It's rough.
Well, you have a reputation to stand up to, and so you just can't send, somebody out to an important project like that does not have the credentials and the training that you expect.
Yeah, we have all the same hiring challenges as anybody else. We do try to do as much vetting and uh, background as we can on them, but you don't really know somebody until you get them out there and put them to work.
Right. Once the spotlight goes on, things change a little bit for sure. So I've got Ty Clem with me, president of Window Outfitters. Check them out at needglazers.com, all one word, needglazers.com. So you made big news a few months back. You made a deal with the IUPAT. It was something huge and interesting, and I think good, really good for our industry. What drove you to do it? What was the impetus for your Ty Clem to say, okay, we need to make a deal with IUPAT?
So, like I said, 2 years of learning how not to do it. It really just seemed obvious, like what they do for the industry.
Yep.
Because you get a whole team of people working on this stuff together, and we have an awesome team put together now. Travis Nevins has been a huge role in this. I've been talking to him for a couple of years about this whole thing.
Yeah.
It's been a long process, but so this allows us to go out and find more caliber, experienced guys. It's a better service all the way around. We get to test them in, and vet them out a lot better, provide them access to more training. Eventually, hopefully, everybody wants to become AGMT certified, and we
Right.
provide a pathway for that. So it's just a better all-around service for the customer as well as the glazing or the glazer. There's just a lot of guys around the country that are working for other individuals that might be getting taken advantage of a little bit,
Hmm.
and we're definitely stepping in to give those guys a pathway forward to better success and just all around training and a better pathway forward. So
Sure. Yeah, it's workforce development at its finest. You want to give them a career, and the better trained they are, the old adage of you want them to go home in the same condition that they came into work, and so a lot of that is training and education, and so it's good that you've hooked up with Travis. I'm a big fan of Travis Nevins. Good guy, really good guy. So
yeah.
very cool. You got good taste, Mr. Clem. Good taste. Speaking of taste, I'm really curious on this one. Fun question. You got to lighten it up a little bit. Favorite style of music slash musician. You live in Oklahoma now. I don't know if it's become a Garth Brooks thing because he's your neighbor down the street. But talk to me. What is Ty Clem's music or musician fave?
I like a little bit of everything for sure.
Gotcha.
Van Halen, some Metallica. I like
Nice.
jazz. I'm a big Jesus believer, so I like to get into some good gospel music. So I like a little bit of everything.
I like it. I like it. And now the Van Halen with Sammy or David Lee Roth, or it doesn't matter.
Roth, man, come
Okay.
on.
Good answer. Good
Yeah,
answer. Good answer. Because it was not the same with Sammy. It was not the same. So, good stuff. Good stuff. You came through for me there, my friend. I like that. Good answer. A couple more questions for Ty Clem, president of Window Outfitters. You can find him online, needglazers.com. You had a great take. We had Women in Construction Week here recently, and you delivered I thought a passionate and just fantastic message. Definitely not the typical post that you would see in the Women in Construction Week. What drove you to kind of support that effort? I know you've got a personal connection. What was that driving to really come out forcefully for women in construction?
it rolls around every year, and I see it, and I just thought about it, like what I would do if I didn't have Mercedes or my mom or my wife,
Hmm.
everybody that supports me and what I do. Like, I mean, I literally wouldn't make it a day with this thing, with my business or just so I really thought about it and I wanted to really express my appreciation. So, and I hear sometimes, people say I wear my feelings on my sleeve, but hey, you're gonna get the real me. I'm not smart enough to fool anybody, and I don't, so if you ask me something, I'm gonna give you the real answer. So
Yeah, well, I thought it was classy and again different than the typical post, and so you paid proper salute to the team there. So kudos to you. A couple more. It's curious. You've talked about online here and there about your average day. And I get tired, myself just watching how you go from point A to point B to C to D to E to F. Is that normal for you, where you're going from place to place to place, or like when you posted, it's like a special occasion that you've hit 10 job sites seemingly in one day?
No, it's pretty typical. It's a lot, but if we got a lot of work going on, and you know I try to go around in GC or quality control a lot of stuff. I do have a good team of guys helping, but I like to go out and put my eyes on stuff
Sure.
everywhere. And it's impossible for me to get everywhere. Having jobs all the way from San Diego to Tampa, Florida, it's just. But I do a lot of traveling. I'll be at the FHC event April the 17th.
Great. Great.
Going out there to see if Andrew can cook as good as he says he does.
He talks a big game, Ty. He talks a big game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna find out.
I love it. I love it. Well, anytime you need somebody to check out a job site in San Diego or Tampa, I'll gladly do that for you. That'd be my pleasure. I like those. I like both of those cities. So, but your day, you had one there. I swear you were on the run from dawn till dusk and then some. So kudos again for getting out there and doing it. And I like the fact that you're putting your reputation out there. So you need to visit these places to make sure you're coming through with what you promised. What you'd come through with. So good by you. One more for Ty Clem, Window Outfitters. He's the president there. Needglazers.com. Again, you and I, the first time you and I talked this year, we did kind of talk a little bit of the economy. And lately, the economy keeps turning left, right, center, upside down, inside out, changing by the minute. What's your feel right now for the economy? I chuckle because by the time this comes out, and we're recording this 2 days before it comes out, it'll probably change 10 more times in 2 days. But what's your feel for the economy right now?
I felt pretty good, a week ago, and then you're right, it's such a roller coaster ride trying to figure out what's going to happen with everything, the tariffs, but that's the good thing about learning a skilled trade, and I think glazers are the most skilled guys on any project by far. I learned how to do it really well, so I know that no matter what, I'll be able to take care of my family. If I have to put my tools on, I love doing that. That's my favorite day,
Yep.
is out and putting my tools on or getting in a SkyTrack and set some curtain wall. So, whatever happens, I try to keep as many guys as I can busy, the good ones. We try to give everybody an opportunity, and it's up to them when they get out to there to make a showing and prove that they want to be there and learn and grow. We're just here to be a tool for everybody
Right.
in the industry. We don't have it all figured out, but you can guarantee that our team is gonna do the best they can for you, and we got integrity, and we're gonna be honest with you. We'll right any wrong we can, and we'll shoot you straight. But who knows what's going to happen in a few months. But yeah, I learned how to do glass, and I'll take care of myself with my skilled trade.
Good call. It is just so wacky though right now.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've got a lot of guys that work for you, and you're trying to figure it out. And I mean, I'm a solo guy, and I mean, somebody like you watch the news and you got to be just saying, oh my gosh, I mean, are you holding up okay through this?
Oh yeah, like I said, I'm a big Jesus believer. I got a lot of faith, and it doesn't matter what happens. I know where I'm headed.
I love it. Yeah, see, that's good. So you probably listen to some Jeremy Camp too, and that keeps you rolling too. So I like that. I like that. So Ty, appreciate you taking the time. I will hopefully see you in California at the FHC event, and we both can maybe call Andrew out if he does not grill the way he presents himself as a griller. So, but I look forward to seeing you, and thanks for doing the podcast. Ty Clem, President, Window Outfitters, needglazers.com. I look forward to seeing you in person, and keep up the great work, my friend. It's important for our industry, and you're doing good things.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Okay. Welcome back in to my world here. Thank you very much to Pat O'Connor and Ty Clem. Great guys. They get things done, and I admire them both. Good people. As I do every show, the wrap up, the TV talk. I may have mentioned in a previous episode about The Pit on HBO Max. I'm 13 episodes in. I think it goes 15 total. It is mesmerizing. If you like medical dramas, this is it. If you have a weak stomach, do not watch it. It is very intense on the medical side, high-paced emergency room stuff. If you're a fan of ER back in the day, this is like ER on steroids. It's really, really good. So check that out on HBO Max. I just finished Reacher on Prime. If you like that empty calorie stuff like I do, you'll love that. And then I'm moving on to a Dope Thief that's on Apple. Looking forward to seeing what that's about. Interesting storyline. I'll let you all know how that all goes. So that's one of the next things on the old watch TV list. All right. Thank you again to FHC. FHC-USA.com is the website. They help support this podcast. Check them out at FHC-USA.com. They've got everything from shower hardware to sealants to tools, railings, and more. So FHC-USA.com. That wraps up this one, this podcast. Thank you so much for checking it out. Really, really appreciate it. I got a big one coming up on our next podcast. Some heavy hitters from heavy hitter companies. As long as everything goes through, it's going to be another big one, but with heavy hitters. Thanks for checking it out, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.